Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pulling up on the Big Ticket Morning Show with Jazzy McBee is my favorite mac and cheese maker, Keisha Lance Bottoms.
Good morning.
Now, not the shade so early in the
He's
morning.
so shady, but you can make me a pot lady. I want one.
Let me just begin with this before we get to the important stuff. I made some mac and cheese last week, and my son was like, "Now this is what it's supposed to be."
Okay.
Mac and cheese.
Practice make perfect, Shotty.
That's right.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I am fantastic. I'm glad to finally talk to you.
Amen. We were
Good.
trying to connect for quite some time. So you went back to the White House, kind of, sort of. You were rejoining the Biden-Harris campaign, which is now the Harris campaign. Are you still there, and what's your current capacity?
So, I love that we love all my jobs. So let me just make it clear. I have lots of jobs, okay? So I'm not jumping around, but I am a part of the President's Export Council. So that's something that I'm serving on. But in terms of being a part of the campaign, I was a senior advisor to the Biden-Harris campaign and now to the Harris campaign.
Amen.
Nice.
When the president announced that he was not running, the first thing my mother did was call me and say, "Now, do you still have a job?" I still have one of many jobs.
Amen.
Right.
Amen.
So you're just making a transition. So will we see you today, along with Kamala Harris's campaign right here in Atlanta?
I will be there. I will be
Nice.
there. I will, of course, be happy to greet the vice president. I'll be at the event, and then I'll be doing lots of cable news interviews, which seems to be taking up an enormous amount of time, but I'm just so excited to be able to spread the word about why this campaign and this election is so important. I'm fighting this battle even in my own family, it seems like at times.
Really?
And reminding people, like, this election, every election is really important. And when we hear the things that Donald Trump says, we've talked about Project 2025, getting rid of the Department of Education. I don't know what that does to public schools when you get rid of the Department of Education. We talk about a woman's right to choose, to make choices about her own body. And this is not, people just think of it as related to having abortions. This is about reproductive health. Women like me who had to go through in vitro fertilization, will you still have access to that? If you are experiencing a miscarriage, what kind of medical care will you be given? Because there are doctors and nurses who are afraid to provide care because of these abortion bans. And at the end of the day, it's just about a woman being able to say, this is my body, and this is what I want to do with my body.
Absolutely.
And then lastly, and I'm sorry, I just got to get this in because I hear this a lot. I hear it from business owners. I hear it in the hair salon. People say under Donald Trump they had money in their pockets. Well, what people need to remember, that money came from the Democratic-controlled Congress.
Amen.
Donald Trump, the marketing genius, was just savvy enough to put his name on the check. So don't be confused about where that money came from. And Republicans did not extend the child tax credit. That child tax credit that was putting money in people's pockets to help with things like daycare expenses, et cetera, they wouldn't extend it. And then I hear people talk about immigration. Donald Trump asked Republicans in Congress not to make a deal on immigration, which, by the way, was led by some very strong conservative Republicans, because he didn't want the Democrats to have a win before the election. Is that really who we want as our president?
Well, I'm not going to answer myself right this second, but I'll let everybody else answer when we head to the polls in 97 days. Talking to Keisha Lance Bottoms, former mayor of Atlanta. Keisha, what do you think is the biggest hurdle, singular biggest hurdle, to having Harris actually win the election?
Voter turnout. Oftentimes we get excited and it just ends right there. We were just all excited and then we stay home. And at the end of the day, it's about counting the votes. And Tigger, you were right there with me lockstep when I ran for mayor. I give this example. Going into Election Day, I was 7 points down in the polls. But there was a groundswell of excitement that got people to turn out who didn't normally turn out to vote, and I won by a very thin margin, less than 900 votes. And I give that example because it matters not just on the local level, it matters at the presidential level. We know Georgia's been in the spotlight. Trump was looking for 11,000 votes in Georgia. That's a very thin margin in a state that has millions and millions and millions of people inside the state. And people think it doesn't really make a difference. The Electoral College may decide, but it absolutely does make a difference. And I take people back to 2020, that when this guy was president, summer 2020, not only were we having our challenges with all that happened that summer with the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, et cetera, but then we were dealing with the White House, this man who was telling us to inject ourselves with bleach in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
It was, people can't forget how traumatic that time was.
Agreed. We're talking to Keisha Lance Bottom, senior advisor to the Harris campaign. As we head to the DNC, we're looking forward to seeing all kinds of wonderful things happen with Vice President Kamala Harris. We appreciate you, sis. I just want to say, as my fellow Capricorn, keep doing what you're doing. We be working around here.
Definitely.
That's right.
Good to talk to you.
And I will see you later on this evening. Please believe it.
All right. See you soon. Thank you for having me.
V103.